couple of days ago, I did a valley up ascent of Mont Blanc. Now, my time was never going to trouble the record books, but I managed it. And for anybody interested in doing something similar, the point where I'm standing now, just about, is the start and end of the skiable snow. So this is where I transitioned from my running shoes into my ski boots. I hung my running shoes on that tree just there. And I'm currently about 100 meters or so above the old Para mid station. So the snow line's probably around about 1700 meters at the moment at this exact point, which was also around about the top of the tree line as well here. Naturally, when you're on the way up in the morning, the snow around here is absolutely bullet hard. So I didn't start skinning from here. I boot packed about the whole Para face. I didn't put my skis on until I got onto the Glacier de Bosson. It was just safer and easier to keep walking in my boots rather than trying to skin across the icy traverse. And especially on the snow up here on the Para face, it's, yeah, bullet hard and it's really uneven surface, pot marked. There's no obvious skin track, so it was much quicker and easier just to boot pack. But certainly when you're skiing down, you can ski to this exact point here. You can see there are a few tracks there where someone has skied, probably today. I stopped a little bit higher up. I didn't find my way down this exact patch, but luckily I still managed to find my shoes even though it was dark. If you're ever up here for a walk and you wonder why there are various pairs of trainers and shoes dangling off branches, this is why. This is where people are doing valley ascents to Mont Blanc. They'll change from their trainers into their ski boots. Indeed, there are several pairs hanging from the trees that were still there when I went up a couple of days ago now, which is slightly worrying. I'm hoping whoever left them there just missed them on the way down and hasn't been bothered to come back up yet, and there isn't some stranded skiers up there. But yeah, there's definitely some shoes that I recognise from a couple of days ago. But the reason I'm back here at the scene of the crime, as it were, is I lost a dry bag somewhere, which presumably has my pair of Glacier sunglasses in. They're not valuable, but they're invaluable because nobody makes glasses like that anymore. Proper wraparound sunglasses which give complete protection at the sides. It's all about fashion over function these days, so even though they probably cost less than a tenner, I think it's cost me more money in fuel driving back up here again today to look for them than it cost me to buy them in the first place. It was worth coming for a look because I'll never find another pair like them again, unfortunately. And there was only two places realistically where I could have lost them on the trail. There's only two places where I stopped and took my bag off. So it was worth coming back up here for a look, but sadly they're not here, which means they must still be somewhere up on the summit ridge of Mont Blanc, probably up above the Valley Bivouac, so they're going to be up there for perpetuity now. But at least it gives me a chance to come and show you the way up. As for the conditions of the Grand Mulets itself, regardless whether you're starting down in town or coming across from the Plan de Guy and taking the traverse, the junction is complex and messy as always. The upper traverse is now totally impassable. Don't be fooled by all the tracks going there and coming back, as I did. It's misleading. You think because there are tracks coming down as well as going up, that means people must have come down that way. But no, it's people who, like me, went up there, found that it was totally impossible, had to ski back down again. So the only way across the junction at the moment is the much lower traverse, which is marked by 2 or 3, I think they're purple poles, which have got reflectors on them, which is obviously useful if you're doing it in the dark. But yeah, don't be tempted to take the higher traverse because it basically ends in like a 20-metre ice cliff. Above the Grand Mulets refuge, there were a few tracks which appear to have headed up towards the north ridge of the Dom de Goutte, but the vast majority of the tracks go up via the Petit Plateau, which is always a massive risk, but it's also just the easier way to go. So at the moment, most people, myself included, have been going that way. And there has been a big swagfall there very recently, since the last major snowfall, so probably within the last week or so, which has come right across the plateau, covered the crevasses and gone over the other side as well. So it shows you just how dangerous it is doing that. It's not something where you want to be hanging around. So even though common wisdom dictates that if you're doing a route like the Grand Mulets, you get an alpine start, you start when it's still dark. Personally, I would recommend that it's much safer to be crossing the Petit Plateau in daylight. That way at least you can see the dangers that are looming above you. If anything does fall down, you've at least got a chance of being able to turn and outrun it. Whereas if you're crossing it in the dark, you've got no way of knowing where anything that's falling is coming from, what trajectory it's taking. So personally, I recommend if you are doing the Grand Mulets and you're staying in the refuge, get a later start. Set off just before daybreak, so that way when you're crossing the Petit Plateau, you can see everything. It just makes everything much safer, and that way you can just sprint head down as quick as possible across the danger zone. Above the Petit Plateau, it's all pretty much plain sailing. You got the choice whether you go right and join the Valley Bivouac on the Bosses Ridge, which is the way I went, or you go left and join the top of the Trois route. Both ways look just as feasible. Obviously, if you're going left, you can keep your skis on all the way to the summit, so that may be preferable. You're going right, I left my skis at the Valo, just did the Bosses on foot, up and down, which is of course slower, but you're carrying less weight. The Bosses Ridge itself is now much more complex than it used to be. It's got several huge crevasses right on the ridge crest, which needs to take various detours around. Some of those detours end up in dead ends as well, so route finding isn't always obvious, but there is a very good boot track on the ridge itself. As long as you do find the correct way and don't follow all of the dead ends, then there is a really good trail from the Valo up to the summit and back. On the way down, you're going to have a pretty good descent on spring snow all the way to here where I am now. I've seen several skiers coming back down this way just now. Even though it's still middle of the afternoon, they'd have plenty of time to make it back across the mid station, but they are still opting to ski down as far as here and walk the rest of the way. Whether that's to save money, or whether that's because they want to get a longer ski, who knows, but it's still very much a viable option to ski down rather than to try and walk back. Of course, when I was doing it, it was dark, everything had refrozen, so the snow was absolutely horrific. While I was up there, I also had a pretty good vantage point looking across at the cosmic couloir and the exit couloir for the Glacier Ronde, and I must say, they're looking pretty terrible at the moment. It's by far and away the leanest and driest I've ever seen them at this time of year. Indeed, it looked like the cosmic couloir itself is possibly impossible right now. Possibly impossible? You know what I mean. There was what looked to be a continuous cliff band, maybe 100 metres or so down below the point where you would finish the abseils. So it's not somewhere that you'd be able to abseil across from. It's well below the abseil point, but it looked to be like it all the way across the couloir. I couldn't see an obvious way around it from where I was looking. And likewise, the exit couloir, the Glacier Ronde, it is complete, it is possible, but it's pretty thin, pretty rocky in places. And being west facing, you know the snow quality is going to be absolutely terrible at the moment as well. So I think this is the first season since COVID where I've not done any big steep skiing lines this season. And the way it's shaping up at the moment, I probably won't be doing any either because it's so dry and there's still no snow in the forecast. It's been a really dry spring. It's been pretty disappointing. Lovely weather, great for going to the beach, but terrible for skiing. The Mallory Porter's been skied in the last week and a half or so since it last snowed. There's currently at least 2 tracks down it. God knows why you want to be skiing it right now. The conditions look pretty terrible. It's the kind of descent where you want to be doing it in perfect snow or not at all, otherwise it's just survival. You must have rappelled down off of one of these fences to get down onto the face, or perhaps down climbed, because as you can see, the upper portion is still complete black ice. There's no way anyone's skied in from here. People have been speed flying across to it from here, but that's not the tracks you can see on the route itself. They're taking off again to fly down. But it does look to be in pretty good condition for climbing up at the moment. It's got a really good boot track up most of the way. There are several parties on it as I was coming up the cable car today. So it's definitely better as an alpine climb than a ski descent right now. The arete is still fully equipped, but some of the poles are starting to melt out and I'm having to move them closer together, so it's getting more and more tricky now. You can probably expect over the next week or so they'll gradually start decommissioning it, especially as they're expected to be closing Montanvert at the end of the month. So after that point, the Vallée Blanche will no longer be a ski itinerary and will be a mountaineering objective. So it's probably only one more week or at most of full 2 handrails and zigzag on the arete. There might be 1 handrail in for a few weeks to come, but yeah, I expect that the zigzags will be going pretty soon now. I'm pretty sure I can see tracks heading up and probably down 1 more D now. Though the Bergstrand still does look incredibly problematic. It's absolutely huge, but it looks like people have been crossing it climbers left, really far left, and then traversing across the face. So that suggests that people have been getting up and possibly even down the Toile-Mons now as well. And there are also now loads of people out rock climbing on the south pillar of the Guy de Midi, and not just on the sunny south facing side, also on the east facing side. Routes like Wacholmen have got multiple teams on them, which must be pretty chilly in the shade, but I expect climbing sunny rock at altitude right now is absolutely lovely. And loads of people have been out mountaineering on the Cosmic Arete this week. It's probably looking like early summer season conditions at the moment. I expect it's really, really good. And there are definitely some tracks heading over towards the Poire la Chanelle Traverse as well. And you can expect Arete Lawrence will also have had loads of ascents this week. So in other words, it's much more like early summer alpine climbing season than it is ski season right now. But it is still mid-spring, there's still plenty of time left. Winter always has a sting in its tail, and you can be sure there'll still be some worthwhile snow to be had up in the high mountains before we finally all put our skis away. Despite it still being very, very bony, there are some tracks down the north face of the Gros Rognon. And that's always a good place to practice your steep skiing, as it's got virtually no exposure, no commitment. It is proper steep, at least 45 degrees, and if you fall, it's gonna hurt, but you're almost certainly gonna survive it. So by Chamonix standards, that's a very friendly place to be practicing steep turns. slush layer up here is getting really deep now. It's much harder to ski than poor man's powder on piste when you get slush on top of a good, consistent, even base. Up here there is no consistent base. There are holes underneath you half the time, but it's still quite enjoyable to ski. But like I say, definitely harder work than if you're skiing slush on pistes. For anybody interested in the conditions of the north face of the Tour Ronde, either for climbing or for skiing, I can confirm that from a distance it's looking very lean and very, very black. You definitely cannot ski it right now. You might be able to climb it, but it's not going to be fun. This is the critical choke point coming up now. I know there are open crevasses, I'm going to have to straight line it across just to the side of, well, that big crevasse right there. And also I know they're only going to have got bigger since I was here last week, so it's a case of finding the right line and then just committing really. Yeah, this is looking really quite tricky now. Even if you're just doing the classic itinerary, which is suitable generally for intermediates when earlier in the season, this is not intermediate friendly now. You need the confidence to be able to straight line things, but also the ability to be able to stop suddenly as well if you need to, so it's very much experts only now. It's a good job the season's nearly over, as that's my last can of Iron Brew. Send help! The Motor Glass is now a bit of a mess, but you can still ski most of the way to the gondola without having to take your skis off. Looks like you've got two choices. You cross the moraine ridge just back there, maybe walk 50 metres or so to join the snow in the gully on the other side, or as I've kind of ended up doing by default, just keep going straight down, following the main meltwater stream until you're almost level with the gondola, and then again there'll be probably 50 metres or so of walking over the moraine ridge to get back to the gondola. End of the line, pretty much level with the gondola here now. Right, having to take your skis off, but from here to get over there there's several annoying ups and downs, so probably still better off crossing the moraine a bit higher up. Then you put your skis back on again, and I expect you can still ski most, if not all the way back to the ice caves. Find out in a second, but yeah, even though we're pretty close from here, there's it's quite a bit of annoying up and down to get back from this point here. People seem to be walking down from that way too, so I'm guessing maybe it doesn't pass anymore. Maybe they want to put the skis back on after they put them on their bags. But either way, theoretically you could still ski down this final section of gully here to get pretty close. I finally made it to Verbier, last weekend of the season. Better late than never. There's fairly limited uplift now, but still tons of snow, so you can still have absolutely amazing time. It's perfect spring corn right now. Obviously I don't want to be up too early, but hit that sweet spot after 11 through till mid-afternoon. It is absolutely beautiful. A reminder, there's still one more week left up at Grand Monte. The closing party for the season there will be Sunday the 3rd of May. Freeride day, there'll be a pond skim, zip line, fancy dress, DJ on top of the mountain, live band down at the bottom at the end of the day, after party, after party, you name it. So should be good, although it'll probably be raining. Let's go. So staying hot and sunny probably until some point on Tuesday. Then there is some weather moving through the middle of the week, but freezing levels initially at least are going to still be pretty high. So as I was saying earlier, could well be raining at many levels where you can ski. It is set to cool down a little bit towards the latter part of the week, so maybe by the closing weekend it might be snowing, but who knows. It's definitely more changeable than it is now. Anything Candy Dove can do, I can do just a lot worse. So that's a wrap from Verbier. I'll bring you one more snow report towards the latter part of this week. For anybody going to the freeride day in Clermont, you know what to expect, but other than that, the season is very nearly over.